In this video, we will talk about the Great Depression, how it shaped America's future, so make sure to watch the full video. The Great Depression, which began in 1929, was the most severe economic crisis in modern history, affecting millions of Americans and reshaping the nation. Triggered by the stock market crash, it led to widespread unemployment, poverty, and environmental disaster. The economic collapse was exacerbated by the Dust Bowl, which devastated the agricultural heartland. In response, President Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced the New Deal, a series of programs designed to provide relief, recovery, and reform. The effects of the Great Depression continue to influence America's economic policies and social structures, leaving a lasting legacy on the nation's future. 1. The causes of the Great Depression. The Great Depression was caused by a combination of economic, social, and political factors. The most immediate trigger was the catastrophic collapse of the stock market in 1929, which sent shockwaves through the financial system. However, the underlying causes were more complex. Overproduction in agriculture and industry, combined with rising consumer debt, led to a severe imbalance in supply and demand. Additionally, a lack of effective regulation in the banking sector allowed banks to take excessive risks, leading to widespread failures when the economy faltered. Global factors, such as the economic policies of other nations and the lingering effects of World War I, further contributed to the crisis. Together, these elements combined to create a perfect storm, leading to the most severe economic downturn in modern history. 2. The stock market crash of 1929, a catalyst for the crisis. The stock market crash of October 1929 was the most visible and dramatic event that marked the beginning of the Great Depression. Over the summer of 1929, stock prices soared to unsustainable levels due to speculative investments, creating a bubble in the market. When the bubble burst on October 29, known as Black Tuesday, investors panicked and began selling off their stocks at rapid rates. This caused stock prices to plummet, erasing billions of dollars in wealth. The crash undermined public confidence in financial institutions, leading to a domino effect of bank closures and a sharp contraction in credit. As businesses and individuals lost their wealth, consumer spending plummeted, resulting in widespread unemployment and economic collapse. The stock market crash was a key turning point that deepened the effects of the Great Depression and set the stage for a prolonged economic crisis. 3. The Dust Bowl, environmental catastrophe. Amidst economic struggles, the Dust Bowl was an environmental disaster that compounded the economic woes of the Great Depression. Beginning in the early 1930s, severe droughts, high winds, and poor farming practices turned vast areas of the Great Plains into barren, dust-covered land. Farmers, already struggling due to the economic downturn, were hit hard by the loss of crops and the destruction of their land. Dust storms, sometimes lasting for days, swept across the region, burying homes, crops, and entire communities. The environmental catastrophe forced thousands of farmers to abandon their land and migrate west in search of work. The migration, famously captured in John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath, became a symbol of the struggles faced by the American working class during the Depression. The Dust Bowl also prompted significant government intervention, leading to new agricultural practices and federal assistance to affected farmers. 4. Unemployment and poverty. The human cost of the Great Depression. The human cost of the Great Depression was staggering, with unemployment rates reaching nearly 25% by 1933. As businesses failed and banks collapsed, millions of Americans lost their jobs, homes, and savings. Families were forced to endure extreme poverty, often living in makeshift shacks or Hoovervilles, named derisively after President Herbert Hoover. Unemployment lines grew longer, and many had to rely on charity and soup kitchens for their daily sustenance. The impact of the Depression was not just economic, it took a deep emotional and psychological toll on families, many of whom struggled with feelings of hopelessness and despair. For a generation of Americans, the Depression became a formative experience, shaping their views on work, wealth, and government intervention. The widespread suffering spurred demands for change, laying the groundwork for future reforms aimed at protecting workers and families. 5. The New Deal. Franklin D. Roosevelt's response to the crisis. In response to the economic collapse, Franklin D. Roosevelt launched the New Deal, a series of ambitious programs designed to provide relief, recovery, and reform. Upon taking office in 1933, Roosevelt's administration passed a flurry of legislation aimed at alleviating the immediate suffering of the American people. The New Deal created jobs through public works projects, provided direct relief to the unemployed, and introduced financial reforms to stabilize the banking system. It also aimed to prevent future economic crises by implementing regulatory measures such as Social Security and the Securities Exchange Commission, SEC. The New Deal fundamentally changed the role of the federal government in American life, expanding its involvement in economic affairs and social welfare. While not all of its programs were successful, the New Deal provided much-needed relief and laid the foundation for the modern welfare state. 6. Banking reforms. Restoring confidence in the financial system. The banking system's collapse was a major factor in deepening the Great Depression. To restore confidence and stabilize the economy, Roosevelt implemented a series of banking reforms, starting with the Emergency Banking Act of 1933. This legislation allowed the government to inspect banks, close failing ones, and reopen sound institutions, helping to restore trust in the banking system. Additionally, the Glass-Steagall Act of 1933 separated commercial and investment banking, reducing risky speculative practices. The creation of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, provided government-backed insurance for bank deposits, ensuring that individuals' savings would be protected. These banking reforms helped prevent further bank runs, stabilized the financial system, and restored faith in the economy, allowing for recovery efforts to take hold. 7. Social Security Act, laying the foundation for welfare in America. The Social Security Act of 1935 was one of the most enduring pieces of legislation to emerge from the New Deal. It created a system of social insurance for the elderly, the unemployed, and the disabled, providing a safety net for vulnerable populations. The act established a federal program that collected taxes from workers and employers to fund pensions for the elderly and unemployment benefits for the jobless. Social Security was a revolutionary step in the development of the American welfare state, ensuring that individuals would have a source of income during times of hardship. 8. The role of labor unions, fighting for workers' rights. The Great Depression saw the rise of powerful labor unions as workers demanded better wages, working conditions, and job security. As unemployment soared and economic inequality grew, organized labor movements gained momentum, and strikes became more common. The National Industrial Recovery Act, NIRA, of 1933 gave workers the legal right to organize and bargain collectively, leading to the growth of unions like the Congress of Industrial Organizations, CIO, and the American Federation of Labor, AFL. These unions fought for fair wages, union recognition, and improved working conditions, ultimately contributing to labor reforms such as the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, which established minimum wage laws and regulations on working hours. 9. The cultural impact, art, music, and the Depression-era spirit. The Great Depression had a profound cultural impact, with artists, musicians, and writers capturing the struggles and resilience of the era. The Works Progress Administration, WPA, funded a wide range of cultural programs, allowing artists to create works that reflected the hardships of the time. The Federal Writers Project documented the stories of ordinary Americans, while musicians like Woody Guthrie and Billie Holiday used their music to speak to the pain and hope of the Depression years. Art and literature from the era, including the works of John Steinbeck and Dorothea Lange, immortalized the human cost of the Depression and helped to give a voice to the voiceless. 10. The legacy of the Great Depression. Long-term economic and social changes. The Great Depression left a lasting legacy on American society and the global economy. It reshaped the role of government in managing the economy, leading to permanent reforms such as Social Security, unemployment insurance, and labor protections. The Depression also prompted a shift in economic thinking, with the rise of Keynesian economics, which advocated for government intervention to stabilize economies during times of crisis. The experience of the Depression influenced generations of Americans, shaping their attitudes toward work, wealth, and Social Security. Internationally, the Depression had far-reaching consequences, contributing to the rise of fascism in Europe and altering the trajectory of global economic policy. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also, subscribe to our channel before you go. Thank you for watching.